good afternoon. This is Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I am Rochelle Tumodra. Before heading to our stories in detail, these are your headlines for this afternoon.
Three more turtle carcasses washed ashore at Galle face. Number of people affected by arid weather conditions increased. The impact of the dry spell on elephants. 250 million rupees for purchasing of paddy. Russia's President Vladimir Putin breaks silence over Yevgeny Prigozhin's reported death. Three more turtle carcasses washed ashore at Galle face.
Now on to your top story this afternoon. Several protests were staged on Friday by examiners of the answer scripts of the GCE ordinary level examination. The group pointed out that the allowances provided to them are insufficient.
Examiners of the answer script of the GCE ordinary level examination demand that 2,000 rupees provided to the examiners of advanced level answer sheets be given to them as well. Protesters allege that at present the daily transport allowance provided for the examiners of the ordinary level answer sheets is only 1,450 rupees. A group of teachers protested opposite of Sita Devi Girls School in Kandy on Friday morning. Another group of teachers protested near the Homagama President's College, demanding the 2,000 rupee allowance. Another protest was staged opposite the Mahiyangana National School.
The report presented by the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Environment, Natural Resources and Sustainable Development regarding the Express Pearl disaster was a topic of discussion today during Friday's parliamentary session.
The chairman of the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Environment, Natural Resources and Sustainable Development presented its report on the MV Express Pearl disaster to Parliament. This committee comprises of 12 MPs. This report was signed only by 6 members, including the chairman. Are the remaining members for it or against it? That must be mentioned in the report. This report comprises of reasonable factors, but by presenting the report, they have underestimated the Attorney General's department to a certain extent. I don't believe that there are MPs in this committee who are much more knowledgeable than the Attorney General. We will not in any way act in a manner that will undermine the court proceedings happening on the Express Pearl disaster. When the Express Pearl disaster took place, relevant institutions came to the conclusion that this disaster struck only the beaches from Nigambu to Panadura. There is a serious concern as to whether state institutions function in a transparent manner. MPs have the right to criticize this. The government has not yet learned lessons from the New Diamond or the Express Pearl disasters.
Now on to a headline-making story. A heat index advisory has been issued to several areas.
The Met Department has issued a heat index advisory to the North Central and Eastern provinces as well as the Vaunia, Mullaitivu and Monaragala districts on Friday. It shows that the heat index in these areas, that is the heat felt by the human body, will remain at a concerning level throughout the day. The heat index forecast is calculated by using relative humidity and maximum temperature, and it is the condition that is felt on one's body. Issuing a set of guidelines, the Met Department urged the public in those areas to drink sufficient levels of water, take shelter as much as possible, wear white or light colored clothes and limit strenuous activities. In the meantime, health authorities are requesting people to pay special attention to eye complications owing to the dry spell.
There is a possibility of eye complications like dry eyes. Contamination due to radiation is also possible, so it is important to ensure safety from extreme heat. Staying hydrated is also necessary. Thus, it is important to avoid activities that expose oneself to the sun at all times. Therefore, any symptoms are seen, it is advisable to consult an eye specialist and obtain necessary medications.
According to the Disaster Management Centre, the number of people affected by the arid weather conditions in Sri Lanka has increased to 280,230. The centre said that people in 18 districts have been affected by the shortage of water. The Batalagoda River in the Kurunegala district has dried up. News First correspondent reported that water cannot be provided for the paddy fields in the surrounding areas. The Rota River and Kandarugas River in Min area in the Hinguragoda Divisional Secretariat have also dried up. Farmers said that about 50 acres of paddy fields do not receive water. Gayan Madhuagoda, the irrigation engineer in charge of the Hambantota reservoir, said although the capacity of the reservoir is 38,875 acre-feet, water levels currently stand at 3,500 acre-feet. The water in this reservoir has come down to such a low level after 7 years. The irrigation engineer said that 16,000 families depend on drinking water from the Murudavela reservoir, and the water that is currently being provided is only sufficient for 1 month.
Now the impact of the prevailing arid weather condition goes beyond humans. Animals, in particular elephants, suffer the most due to the dry conditions.
News First cameras captured a scene from a burning pile of trash in Ratmale, which falls under the purview of the Hinguragoda Pradeshiya Sabha. Meanwhile, an elephant calf that was trapped in a well behind a house in Motaluava, a village in Kurunegala, was rescued on Thursday by wildlife officers of the Heradgamu Wildlife Office and area residents. Following its rescue, the elephant calf was released to the Kahallapallakale Forest Reserve.
Now on to more local news. Carcasses of 3 sea turtles were washed up on the Galways beach on Friday.
During the past few days, the carcasses of sea turtles were discovered in many places on the western coast. News First correspondent reported that the carcasses of 3 more sea turtles were discovered on Friday morning. On Thursday night, the carcasses of 2 sea turtles washed up on the Sarakua beach in Negombo.
It was reported that 2 turtles had washed up. They will be sent to the Bellambila vet to find out the cause of death. The cause of deaths are identified through postmortems.
Accordingly, the number of carcasses of sea turtles that washed up on the western coast in the past few days now stands at 20. The Department of Wildlife said the carcasses were discovered from Valavatta to Galways and along the coast of Negombo. Postmortem examinations of 8 dead sea turtles were conducted on Thursday. The final reports are due to be submitted to court.
The Paddy Marketing Board says 250 million rupees was disbursed to purchase paddy. The chairman of the board, attorney Buddhika Malgoda, said the purchasing of paddy will take place in 11 districts.
The chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board said that 39 warehouses have been opened and the 250 million rupees distributed previously for paddy purchasing is over. He said that 2.7 million kilograms of paddy has been purchased. The paddy harvest in areas of Kantale and Seruvila farming settlements is being reaped currently. Farmers say that their harvest is being bought at a cheap price.
Now on to more local news. Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira expressed views regarding importation of maize as animal feed.
With the prevailing dry weather condition, the government had to stop purchasing paddy for animal feed because paddy had to be reserved for the people. Maize, which was the main cultivation crop in the country, has reduced as well because of the decisions to use organic fertilizer. So then, there is an issue about animal feed. Therefore, an issue regarding animal feed came up. After the discussions on these matters, they requested either to let them import rice or maize. A tax of 75 rupees was imposed on maize. What they wanted was for them to maintain the 10 rupee tax and that they will be able to reduce the price of chicken. But after the discussions, we agreed on a tax of 25 rupees and was approved by the cabinet. Accordingly, we have given the opportunity for the producers engaged in the industrial sector to import maize.
News First with the people.
Now moving on to your news overseas, Donald Trump has surrendered in Georgia on charges of plotting to overturn the state's 2020 election results in an arrest that saw the first ever mugshot of a former US president.
Former United States President Donald Trump has surrendered himself to authorities in the state of Georgia. He faces criminal charges related to efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The Republican leader flew down from his residence in Bedminster, New Jersey, to appear at the Fulton County Jail on Thursday, less than a day ahead of his deadline to surrender. Once inside, he was swiftly booked, a process that required Trump to have his mugshot taken, a first in the United States presidential history. It was his fourth arrest in 5 months in a criminal case, but this was his first police booking photo. Trump later posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, for the first time since January 2021. He shared the address of his website and the mugshot with an all-capital letter caption, "Election interference, never surrender."
Russia's President Vladimir Putin has broken his silence over Yevgeny Prigozin's reported death around 24 hours after Wagner chief's private jet crashed. The US has rejected suggestions that a surface-to-air missile brought down a plane presumed to have been carrying the Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin on Wednesday. Pentagon officials also said Prigozhin was likely to have been on board, though Russian President Vladimir Putin earlier stopped short of fully confirming that the Wagner chief was on the plane.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin said the head of the mercenary group was a talented person who made serious mistakes in life. Putin also sent condolences to the families of all 10 people said to be on board the plane that went down northwest of Moscow on Wednesday evening.
Выразить слово искреннего соболезнования.
I want to express my sincere condolences to the families of all victims. It is always a tragedy. I would want to note that these people made a significant contribution to our common cause of fighting the neo-Nazi regime in Ukraine. I knew Yevgeny Prigozhin since the early 90s. He made serious mistakes in life, but he achieved results both for himself and for the common good when I asked for it, like in the last few months.
И с результатом работал, но и за границей, в Африке в частности.
Despite speaking about Prigozhin in the past tense and offering his sympathy to the families of the victims, Putin did not confirm the Wagner chief's death. Yevgeny Prigozhin was listed among 10 passengers reportedly killed when a private jet crashed north of Moscow. Authorities are investigating the cause of the crash, which occurred exactly 2 months after Prigozhin led his fighters in a short-lived mutiny against Russia's military leadership. From the moment the plane came down, there has been speculation about what caused the deadly crash.
Now taking a look back at your news here at home, a trade union discussion on the 72nd anniversary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party was held today under the leadership of Maithripala Sirisena, the chairman of the party.
We had a trade union discussion where all trade unions came and discussed the 72nd anniversary of the party. There are a lot of issues that have affected the trade unions and we talked about them. There are many concerns and many injustices that our group of MPs are trying to discuss with the government.
Next up is Crime Watch.
Crime Watch.
One person has been injured in a shooting that took place at the Kurundukumburat intersection along the Hettipola road in Kuliapitiya. Sri Lanka police said the 2 men on a motorcycle opened fire at the victim on Thursday night while the victim was riding his motorcycle. The victim is a 49-year-old resident of Moonamal Denia. He is currently receiving treatment at the Kuliapitiya hospital.
Crime Watch.
You see, we have had a very backward utility towards renewable energy.
But during these 8 years, they spent billions of money to buy energy from the private sectors without spending that emergency power purchase, without spending that few million rupees, and to sort out this issue.
The entire world is moving towards renewables,
Right.
and there is no choice in the matter,
Right.
because we don't have dollars.
You have the most devious minds trying to outmaneuver the other. And, it's just ironic that whom has Ranil chosen as his instrument to break up the NPP.
I think these politicians are not aware of what is restructuring and reviving of business, or maybe rehabilitation of business. They think the reforms and the restructuring is giving 150 petrol distribution stations to maybe another company.
Newsline, Monday to Friday at 8:30 p.m. on TV1.
Welcome back to the news. Today is the 14th day of the second phase of the Divi Savya Social Care Program. The program was conducted in Nikavaratia and Mahava Education regions of the Kurunegala district.
Under the LOLC Divi Savya program, exercise books and school equipment needed for a year are distributed to schools with fewer than 100 students. Today, the program is being implemented in the Kurunegala district, focusing on schools in the Mahava and Nikkarawati education zones. Accordingly, school equipment and exercise books were distributed to the students of the Madapokuna Mahira Muslim Junior Vidyalaya, Gallava Muslim Vidyalaya, Galapitigana Primary Vidyalaya, Malasna Devaraja Primary Vidyalaya, Goluava Primary Vidyalaya, Ottukulam Hijra Muslim Vidyalaya, and the Vijayba Vidyalaya. This worthy initiative is conducted by the LOLC Group and the Ministry of Education.
Now on to more local news. The 3 suspects involved in a recent brawl at the Akurasa hospital were released on bail after being presented to the Mathura Magistrate Court. The dispute, which was recorded on a CCTV camera, happened on the 21st at Akurasa Regional Hospital. The police said that an injured person was admitted to the hospital that night, and after some time the patient also came and intervened in the fight. The police have arrested 3 suspects relating to the incident, and one of them was the patient. The court has ordered that the 3 suspects be released on bail and that the case be called again on the 6th. And that's a wrap of your lunchtime news. For more on these stories and more of the very latest, log on to www.newsfirst.lk. Thank you and have a nice day.